Hey everyone, today we're recording our 10th video. We're going to talk about 10 reasons we love Claude Code. If you don't know us, I'm Dan, AI engineer, and this is Dave.
I'm a DevOps engineer.
And we've been building software for over 20 years now. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Dave's going to share his screen and we'll see what the top 10 reasons are.
Well, here's reason number 11, Dan. I created this slide is using Slide Dev, which I had never used before. And within, I don't know, an hour or two, we were able to create this slide with Claude's help. It was totally awesome. It just whipped this thing together, no problem. So there's reason number 11. That's a bonus reason. So,
all right, reason number 12 for me would be I don't really have to use Google Docs anymore, actually. Most of my document creation happens in the terminal in Markdown, and I can paste updates directly into Google Doc. Just replacing things. It's crazy.
By the way, we started with 10. We're already at 12. We'll be at 20 by the end of this presentation, I'm guessing.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the official number 10. You can customize your environment. So if you want to custom your environment globally, you put it in your home, tilde.claude/settings. And you can also do it at the project level. So at the root of your project, you do a .claude.settings. And those you can check into the project so that your coworkers can also use that. And you can also, if you look at the Claude configurations here, you can actually, they even have some enterprise settings. So you can have some like IT software push these out so that everyone in your project, your group, your company can all have like all the best practices replicated throughout all your employees. So that's a really powerful tool. I'm a DevOps engineer, so mine's gonna look a little bit different than Dan's, but you can see if this is mine. Like I'm saying, anytime you want to fetch something from, this is in the loud sections, anytime I want to fetch something from GitHub, Claude does not have to prompt me. It just automatically says, I need to get something from GitHub, go and get it. You can see also I have a bunch of read-only commands here for kubectl. So I'm not gonna have like kube delete, obviously. Claude wants to run commands, it does not have to prompt me. It can automatically go this. And we're going to go through in a little bit why this is so powerful, some examples of why this is so powerful. Do you agree, Dan?
Yeah, I think every single layer of Claude Code I like because I feel like it was built for me. And this is what I would expect.
By the way, Dan, I just thought of reason 13, but I'm going to get to it in a couple more slides. No pressure on you, Dan. I'm saying, so customize your environment. It's a great way to go. You can also create like custom slash commands. You can do hooks, all this other stuff. We'll get into that later. But so reason number 9 is command line mastery. And Dan and I both have a lot of good stories about this. But Dan, what do we mean by CLI command mastery?
I mean, so a lot of people are talking about MCP. Our last video was on MCP. Well, actually, for most things, they have CLIs. So they have command line utilities. You can install those, authenticate them, and Claude can just start using them. You don't need an MCP server. So you can use the best of the Unix operating system again and just go. Claude knows how to do it. And it'll just go crazy, right? So this first one, AWS, I was actually just testing something today where I needed to know how my network was set up for my EC2 instance. I wasn't able to connect to the database consistently. Claude just ran through a bunch of the VPCs, security groups, checked all the open ports, something that would have taken me, I don't know, 10, 20 annoying minutes clicking around in the AWS console or fumbling around with the AWS CLI myself, which is quite verbose. It's like very intuitive, but also it's just like, do I really want to write out every single line? Like Claude will write out like 100-line CLI command and I'll just like, boom, enter. Format everything for you. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I've been using AWS and kube commands and Helm commands and GCP, gcloud commands for, I don't know, at least 10 years. And it's every time I asked it to do something, it's using some command or some argument I didn't know existed. And if you have your prompt set up, like in your settings in the last slide, I've seen it run like literally like 20 read-only commands in a row before it gets to the end. It's like, oh, here's the problem. Like, oh man, that would have taken me a day to figure out. Like it's so obscure. So so MCPs are great, but like Claude for the most part knows how to use the AWS command line or the gcloud command line or the kube command line.
Yeah, even your project commands. You do a Claude MD with some description of the project commands you like. It'll run test, It'll run lint for you before it even commits anything. You don't even need git commit hooks anymore. You can customize it to whatever you want.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And like it's like they say, like MCP is great, but it knows most of the CLIs. So just you can just start with those, right?
Yeah,
That's not.
exactly. I don't have to
Um,
configure any MCP servers most of the time.
yep. Okay, so reason number 8 here. Okay, web search. This one is massive, man. This is one of the hugest things. Like, Dan, do you want to elaborate on this one?
Yeah, it's basic, right? You see Claude doing something that looks suspect, be like, hey, can you actually search the web to see what the standard is? We want to stick to best practices. Looks like you might be making something up here. It'll search the web, ground what it's doing, often switch directions. Or if you just don't know and you want to know for yourself, it'll search the web. Just like Claude Online or GPT, it'll do that in your terminal or in your IDE and tell you everything you want to know. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so as a DevOps engineer, currently I'm working a lot of Helm charts, public Helm charts, and it sometimes doesn't have like the latest data because it depends on when the model was created. So I'll just go and find the URL and say I'll just say fetch the URL to like the values file in a Helm chart, and now it's an expert on the Helm chart. They'll say I want to add these values and stuff like. Another key to doing searches, if you're going to do like some of these examples that are here, just add 2025 to it so it knows, okay, get the latest docs.
Yeah.
Don't get you have cached. Yeah. Another one, like here's an example. Let's say you have some Go code, you want to talk to Slack API. You can just say, hey, listen, pull down the latest SDK for Slack in Golang. And now it's an expert in it. So now now you have the latest stuff and it'll work. It's really amazing. Okay, reason number 7. Integrate your favorite IDE. So Dan works 100% in the terminal, right? 100%. I like using my IDE, and the reason why I like using my IDE is that, again, as a DevOps engineer, I'm spending my whole life pretty much in YAML, right? Because it's integrated with a bunch of different IDEs, including VS Code, I'm able to pull up some YAML or a TOML file or a JSON file, and I can just like I normally do. And so the way this works in Claude is that it has a little handy little shortcut. So on the left here, this is my context, which is this presentation. And so if I hit a command and escape, it'll fire up Claude and it knows to be in this context right here. And then you can just do IDE and it connects to your IDE. So it's fully integrated. It's a common tool. And for a while, I was even using Copilot along with, if I had to edit a file in the editor, Copilot can help me there, but I'm no longer doing that. But that's an option if you want. Some people still use it like that. I use Copilot from day one, and it doesn't compare. Like Claude is blows it away. It's not
Even though it was awesome when it came out.
Oh
like,
yeah,
just have to autocomplete this. No, it's coding for me. But now it's just, oh man.
Yeah. All right, reason number 6. So I don't know about you, Dan, but it's occasionally I do get lazy. It's not just me. We're startup guys. So how often do you have to go work on this repo and there's a README that's empty or it's not up to date or it's missing data, right? There is zero excuse now. All you have to do is say, hey, Claude, create a README for this project. Done. You do have to edit and make sure it's totally correct. But also a very common one is, hey, Claude, update the README. And it just updates it for you. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Dan, thoughts?
Yeah, basically after every time Claude does something, it'll update the README or Claude.md for me. That's just standard practice. I mean, docs, I have to admit that, so I did have Claude generate docs for a number of my projects. That has still been hard for me to keep up to date for those more complex projects. But I know that it's a simple Claude command away from being up to date if I really want to. Reminder, next week I'm doing it.
Yeah, so here's an example. So this README was created by Claude, and look how extensive it is. It has a link to our website, how to build and run this locally. It describes every one of the slides, the technologies, and then look at this, Dan. Isn't this beautiful?
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I do. So with that project structure, though, I do tell Claude, like, all right, don't go too deep because those files are going to change. there's only so much value you get, but for basic things like, oh, these are the routes, these are handlers, these are services. And so it's nice to have that, which you're not writing that yourself, right?
Yeah, this is the good news, bad news. One, it does a great README, but now you have no excuse not to have a beautiful, up-to-date README. There's no
Yeah.
excuse. It does it for you. You literally just say, Claude, create a README for this project, and it does. That's it. Reason number 5. Oh, slash commands. Okay, I have reason number 13 here.
All right, let's hear it.
So Claude, so let me just show you, like, Claude has a bunch of slash commands that help you do things. So in your terminal, you just put a slash and you kind of walk through them. Adder is one of the most powerful. So for example, I'm working in this context here, right? This is the presentation. If I wanted to add an entire another project to this context, Claude's context, I would just do it with this command. So now its context is not just this one project, it's 2 projects. Init command we're going to go over, that's the next slide. But yeah, you can manage your MCP servers here. And then, oh, here's a nice one. You can resume if you were using a context and then you switched, you can resume it from scratch. So it's not starting from scratch. I know what you were talking about last time. It's pretty amazing. And Dan, here's reason number 13. Are you ready for it?
What's that?
Reason number 13 is we trust the developers at Anthropic. It's like they're developers that are using these tools themselves. So every time you add something, it makes Claude better. They never add anything that doesn't make sense. It's kind of like you were saying, like it's your typical Linux like stack. Like they're adding things that we use in the way that we use them, right?
Yep. Feel like it's built for me.
This is how I would do it. I would expect this to work this way. And it does every time. So Anthropic, thumbs up, man. We're big fans.
So I'm looking at these commands here, and resume was a new one for me. I'm definitely gonna try that one out.
Yeah, that one's works pretty good. So now here's the most powerful. Reason number 4 is the most powerful slash command. Init. Okay.
Nice.
Anytime you go to start with a project, the very first thing you do is do a slash init. What it'll do is it'll parse everything in your project directory, and it'll learn what is this project, what are the technologies, what does it do. So here's an example of, so the presentation here, we have this Claude.markdown file. And what it's doing is it's starting off with an empty context. So it has no knowledge. All it knows is like I'm in a directory. But once it creates this Claude file, it takes all this information here and now it's in the context, right? So you're not just saying, hey, do this. You're saying, hey, do this within the context of this file. And it's really powerful because Dan can be working on this project, check in his Claude code, this Claude MD, and then I go look at it. It automatically have access to it. Hey, like I'm already within this context.
Yeah.
So it's like
this is the README for Claude, basically.
Yeah.
And I actually double down on this. So you notice it's just Markdown, and so the LLM can own that Markdown. So in a lot of my projects, I also have an AI docs folder as well, where I put additional context. So it's not, oh, for this project, you always need to know about that. That's what goes in Claude MD. But it's, oh, we're going to work with the database now. Go load the Claude docs or the AI docs for the database. That's already in Claude's context as well. And there's probably instructions like, oh, you should probably load these files into your context as well, because they're going to be working on the models or something like that. So you can double down on this. Claude.md, I think, is just the start of your AI context. And you can start asking Claude to make AI docs for you that you can load in for different workflows and things that you work on. Just hot tip there.
Yeah. So one of the things about if you're working with AI, whether you're creating AI agents or as a pair programmer, context is so important. It's where it's starting its thinking from. So it's basically like adding hints to it. So for example, like Dan was saying, I work a lot with Terraform. I have a Terraform.markdown file. If I ever work with Terraform, first thing I say is, Claude, parse this Terraform file, which has like all the things that I think are like standards and how I want things done. And what that's doing is that's populating that context. So when it goes to work with a database, like Dan said, it already has a context on how to work with a database. Dan's already gave it some instructions on how to do it. So it's not starting off from scratch. It has context. We have another video on this. You can search for it. Are we ready to move on to number 3, Dan?
Let's do it.
All right. Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, so again, every once in a while, Dan, it's possible I'm a little bit lazy. And especially if I'm doing a lot of changes, I'm like, hey, what is in this commit? And I'll look at what's going on here. You can just say, here's what I do a lot, Dan. Claude, create a commit for these changes. And here's an example of what it will do. It'll use like a industry standard commit message, and then it'll break down all the changes that we've made. It's totally professional. You do have to check it because sometimes it's wrong, but it's one of those things that if you want to do your job 100%, your commit messages got to be up to date. The nice thing is you can also a lot of times in a Git repo, you'll have standards across the board of, okay, when we make a commit message or a pull request, what information do we want in that? You just like we were talking about the previous screen, you can have Claude you can set a standard, put it in a markdown file, have Claude parse it. So when it does do a commit or a pull request, it's doing it to the standards that you set in that markdown file.
Yeah. So, if you look at these commits here, they're following what's called semantic release. So if you're using the semantic release plugin, it will rev the version for you based on the fix type, right? So you can see, oh, docs, no version rev needed, right? Oh, it's a fix. We need to do I don't even know what it is. Feat, minor bump. Breaking change, major bump, right? So these commit messages are tied to also semantic release libraries that you can use when packaging projects.
Yeah, so again, just like the readme, no excuse to have lazy commit messages. Claude does a great job. Again, you don't have to edit it. It's not right every time. But you have to check it, but it works good. Okay, reason number 2, we're getting close, Dan. Planning mode. So there's 2 ways of planning. Dan and I plan the same way. How we get there is different, but basically what it does is Claude has a planning mode. And the difference between planning mode and its regular mode is that at the end of planning mode, it's not trying to execute something. It simply is a way of iterating over your changes. And so I can just show you real quick. Once you're in Claude, so right now, if I just do a shift tab, sorry, except that I means as I tell it to do something, it's going to take an action. But because now I'm in planning mode, now it's going to go, hey, Claude, I want to add this Helm chart to this repository or something. I'm making stuff up. Its goal is not to take an action. Its goal is to plan. And what you do is you iterate over it and over it. Once you have a plan you're satisfied with, then you can commit it to file. And that's basically what Dan does too. Dan, you want to talk about how you do it, use planning mode? Or how you plan?
Yeah, for me, I just have it write to files. I just have it write to Markdown, and we're working on that Markdown file, which is a planning doc, going through requirements. We're breaking things up into phases, to tasks, to eventually hand it off. And I'll often put that into Google Docs, or actually a lot of times if I'm just working with developers, we'll just keep it in a projects file and we just have it there. So I do have MCP for linear. I'll have Claude create linear issues for me. So it'll break things down into phases. I can have a task for each phase. I could have subtasks if I want, and Claude will manage all that. And then if I change the doc in the future, I could say, all right, Claude, I updated the doc. Can you go update the linear tickets to make sure that they're consistent? Claude does it. So that's my flow for planning. It's not like, oh, here's a linear issue, let's plan on how to do it. If you're doing a bigger project plan, and you want to share the doc with people, you can export it to Google Docs if there's non-tech folks, and then you can go ahead and start creating linear issues and start managing linear issues. And once you have the linear MCP server there, you can also use it to help you create status updates. All right, here's our burn down on these linear issues. This is how we're doing. So everything's just integrated in the Claude Code for me now.
Yep. The key is no matter how you get there, once your plan is done, project plan, save it. Don't, because the default mode is Claude, it keeps it in memory, but always write it down because you might have to switch to another project, clear out your context, start a new one. Always write it down. And then another thing I love about planning mode or just planning or using with Claude to create a project plan is that every once in a while, it'll think of something that I didn't think of. It'll be like, oh, I've got to add this stuff. Oh, yeah, you're right. I should add that. Have you
Yeah,
experienced that, Dan?
all the time.
Yeah.
No, actually, initially, I I am actually just curious. Sometimes I want to see what Claude comes up with, so I'll just write like a super simple prompt. Say, all right, expand this, write it to a file, and then I see what Claude does, and I'll be like, okay, I like this, I don't like that, and then we just iterate on that file. So, you know, that's just part of working with AI now. It's like, okay, help me think of things that I'm missing, and
Yep.
it doesn't always get it right, but it triggers ideas, and you can move forward much faster. I think for
Yeah.
the
You always have to iterate because it will add things you don't need, but also on the other side, will add things that you didn't think of. So it's pretty
yep.
dope. Okay. Great. Dan, are you ready for reason number one?
Reason one, let's hear it.
It eliminates the boring, monotonous tasks. So I work a lot with YAML. I haven't checked in a YAML syntax error in 6 months. If you need to edit multiple files at the same time, it's so amazing at that. If you need to run a AWS command or some type of CLI thing, you don't have to look up what the actual syntax command is. You just tell them like use gcloud to get this done, and it just goes and does it, right? All the boring, mundane, like monotonous part of the job is done. Creating readmes is done. Commit matches is done. Looking up docs how to run CLI is done. Like you still have to know what you're doing, but I love my job now. I love my job. I love when I get excited. Okay, I'm working with Claude today. What am I going to solve? I love my job because the boring part has been removed, and all I have is left is the fun thing, which is solving problems.
Yeah,
How do you feel
I
about
mean,
this?
I'll tell you how much I love it. I'm a Claude Max subscriber, so there you go.
It's pretty amazing. Obviously, without saying, I would say that my capacity is at least 50% higher because of Claude. So it's still me, but you're like, it's if I work 8 hours, I mean, it's 12 hours worth of actual value. But
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. It's gonna
yeah,
actually save me money, time, and money. I'll pay
yeah,
$100 a month.
yeah,
I didn't bump it up to the $200 a month yet. 100 has been fine. But yeah, so I just want to say this is not just pure vibe coding, right? You got to understand what's going on under the hood. One of the things that I really love about being a software engineer and working on projects is I still want to know the ins and outs. And when I see a bug, I want to have an idea of like, oh, this is where I want to point Claude to look. You could obviously like just say, hey, this is the Sentry issue that I'm looking at. Point it to the exception. Claude will get that a lot of times, but really, you don't want to lose all that domain knowledge where you're just like asking Claude to do things, or at least I don't. There is a lot of times where there are pieces of code that I don't look at until I put it up on GitHub and be like, okay, Claude, let's switch this up. But most of it I am looking at it in my terminal window before that as well.
yeah. You do like Claude will always display the changes you make. You always got to check that, or a lot of times I'll just check it after and be okay, what changed? And okay, go fix this. I don't like you. But I mean, there are people who vibe code, but bottom line is you have to know what you're doing. You can't just like,
Yeah, vibe coding will get you a good prototype. It'll get you along the way. It has helped me a lot to push product discussions forward. It's just let me just get an interface up in front of you. Let's talk about that user interface. But then in the end of the day, at least for me, I like to know exactly what's going on under the hood. I mean,
yeah,
somebody does. And the other thing that I guess we missed here, or maybe I missed it in a previous slide, was Claude will do a lot and it'll do too much. And the more context, the worse Claude gets. So you really
yeah.
want to
Oh,
clean things up when Claude adds things to your projects. And you want to be in full control to make sure like Claude's not adding things or leaving invalid code. So I've had it before where Claude created like a test file. Then later it came around and said like, oh, well, look at how we're doing something here. It's completely wrong and out of date. So like you got to clean things up. You got to be aware of what's in your
yeah.
project still.
Dan, this brings us to our last slide, which is tips.
Oh, we got
Let's see.
another slide.
Yes, Dan, come on, man. So yeah, so like we said, always run in it. If you are working in a project and you don't have Claude.markdown in that root directory project, run in it. That's your starting point. Again, it fulfills the context. It knows like when you say, hey, I want to make this change or I want to do this, it's within the context of that directory. So that is a mandatory always run, and then check that Claude.markdown file in so that the next person who works on that project is also starting for the same context, right? Plan and iterate over planning mode. So like when you're doing a project plan, like we're saying, have Claude iterate over and over again. It's going to add things that it's to suggest things that you don't need, but also suggest things that you do need. And it really helps you. We already know we already covered this, but it really helps you think more and more about your project, right? So
Yeah.
you're doing most of your work up front, and then the actual part of actually implementing, you don't have to make mistakes, and right, the throughput's a lot quicker, right, Dan?
Yeah, it's going to be better for Claude anyways because it'll have clearer instructions. You have to break things down. You don't want to give Claude too much to do, and that's part of that planning phase. But then if you do break it down right and Claude only has like a few things to do at once, keep that to-do list that Claude makes under 10 items would be a recommendation as well. And very crisp, because then Claude can really just execute and for the most part get things right. A lot of
Yep.
times my planning docs will actually have code in there that I'll review a little bit, and then Claude will pick it up and then fill in some of the gaps. So yeah, I mean that's the
Yep.
nice
Yeah.
thing about planning mode, or even just planning.
Yeah. So we actually have an example of this. So our last video, which was Cloud's example here, you can watch the video. We don't have it here, but our last video where we create an MCP server for
Yeah,
GitHub, we start off with a project plan, and then we go through and like we create like a series of tasks for to do, and we spend a little time refining that task so it's
yeah,
very clear. Because this one right here, don't ask Claude to do too much at once. So in your project planning, you want to set up like, okay, here's the things I need to do, because Claude always creates a to-do list, and again, always save that to a file. But
yeah.
you want to
So
put
you
it
can
on
see
the.
the plan.md file in that GitHub repo, Dave.
Oh, okay. Let me go here. Did I miss it?
So if you look at
Oh yeah, here we
plan.md,
go. So here's the overall plan, and then these were basically right initialized, like very, very basic steps. These aren't like do it all at once. Initially, you wanted to do it all at once, Dan, and then we kept prompting it. And this is in the video. It like breaks it down to these all smaller steps. So
mm-hmm.
once we had that, once we okay, that looks good, then we said, okay, go ahead and execute. And this is hilarious, Dan. Day 1 and 2, we did it in what, an hour, and this is saying
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
So
So
Quad's a
we did
little.
it in an hour. I had some experience working with Clavis before and CLIs. I bet, and just call it out. That's not production code. So that was actually more vibe coding than I probably do.
Yeah.
So you're not shipping that to prod in an hour, but you got all that boilerplate out of the way. Everything's working. Now you get in, you productionize, you ship it. And you can do that with Claude too. But yeah, it's amazing how fast you can ship things. And it had a pretty CLI. Like, who's going to write a pretty CLI? Some people
Yeah.
do. I I always wished I would. Now Claude is fulfilling those wishes for me.
And so the next one is like we have a video about this too, managing your context. So again, a context is if I'm going to work on this project, here's some predefined ways I want things done, right? I want to use this version of this library. I want things documented this way, blah, blah, blah. One thing I have noticed, Dan, I don't know if you noticed this. Let's say I'm working on the same project for a full day, a full 8 hours, right? I'm cranking away. And I have some specific things I want done. Like here, I want things done A, B, and C. I'll notice in the beginning, I'll say, okay, parse the project file. So it now knows here's how I want things done. A couple hours later, it'll start to forget things. And I
Right.
think the reason is the context is just getting so big and bloated that all these little details are being lost. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll use the slash command, I'll do slash clear, which clears the context. And then I'll say, run a init again, parse these files, and then basically start from scratch. Have you
Yeah.
noticed that, Dan?
Yeah, definitely managing the context. What I've noticed is if my Claude MD file gets too large, it's going to start missing things in the Claude MD file. So
Yep.
even simple things like that, one-liner files, if it's not focused on that, it might still mess it up.
Yep.
As far as like clearing context, definitely in between tasks, I'll clear context for sure because I don't need all that other bloat. But usually I don't see it too bad where I'm forced to clear and then reset on a single task.
Okay, so here's another one, hit escape. So you will tell Claude, here, Claude, I want you to do something. If you see it start going in the wrong direction, because it'll do doing step 1. Now I'm doing this. Now I'm doing this. without you prompting you, it's doing a bunch of steps.
Yeah.
If it's going the wrong direction, just hit escape. And that's just when I say hit escape, like you're in here and you literally hit the escape key and that'll stop what it's doing. So I can do Claude, how do I do whatever, hit ever, and then hit escape. It'll be okay. Boom. I'm back to zero. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to hit that. You can't just tell it to do something and walk away. You got to watch what it's doing. Hit escape. Hey, Claude, I already did that, or you don't need to do this step. So that's if you agree, Dan, if you use that
Oh
escape key
yeah,
a lot.
definitely use that one for sure.
Yep.
Hey Claude, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Okay, so commit code often. Again, Claude likes to do a lot. It's very aggressive and wants, you can tell, hey, I want to do this simple task. It'll just start going. So you need to commit your code often because Claude, if you don't keep your eye on it, it will do some wonky things. And so anytime you get, I did step one, I did step two. Again, our last video, every time, if you noticed, every time Dan committed a task, one of these tasks, so we did step one, he committed code. Step 1.2, he committed code. Like, so those are all like good best practices when using Claude. Oh yeah, and the last one, remove unused files. So Claude a lot of times will, especially if you're working with code, it'll add debugging code. It'll add debugging files to try and fix a problem or find what's the root problem. Always remind Claude, hey, listen, remove all the debugging you just put in because it won't do that automatically. Have you encountered that, Dan?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll just manually remove before I commit. But yeah, for sure. And that's part of what I mentioned about cleaning up the context. And if it sees old code that's outdated, sometimes it'll think that code is correct. It'll bloat the context. It's important to keep it clean. All your code is context for the AI. So you want AI to see the clean stuff. You want to see the good stuff. You don't want to see it looking at, trash that was just debugging things and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, Dan, that was it. I think we had a total of 14.
Yeah.
Well,
Shoot, I thought we were supposed to get to 20.
Video number 10 things. So any final thoughts here, Dan, why people should use Claude Code?
For me, I just immediately identified with it. I'd tried Cursor a few times and I'm an old man stuck on my tools. It's like I don't want to use Cursor. I want to go back to Vim. So I was using Vim and Aider for a while, and then Claude came around, and I was like, okay, this was built for me.
Yep.
So that's really the main thing for me. It's just immediately identified with it and was like, all right, this is doing exactly what I thought I wanted it to do. I still haven't tested Gemini CLI or OpenAI Codex yet. Maybe someday.
I started with Copilot as soon as it released. I was using it. It was magic. But as soon as I went to Claude, like it's if I was going to write something, this is how it would behave. This is how it would look. It's exactly what I've been in 25 years of experience. This is what an AI pair programmer should act like.
Most of the time.
Yeah. But also Anthropic is doing a great job. Their documentation is great. They keep releasing these awesome new features. It was like, hey, that's a useful feature that I can actually use. So I think it's great.
Yeah. So I added my first hook maybe a month ago now. And that was actually interesting. I think it makes me think a little bit more about how hooks might work in AI versus hooks in my normal VS Code or Vim, where every time I save something, I wanted to run a command, like a formatting command, for example. I noticed that it doesn't quite work the same with Claude. So there's a couple of reasons, right? So Claude will first update the imports, and then in the second write, it will actually start using those imports. So when I had it auto-correcting, it would just delete those imports that it just added. And it'd be like, oh, now what? It's pretty cool to see same features that you had in your IDE, but then you're rethinking how am I going to make this efficient for AI to use it, since it's not quite the same as it was with Vim or whatever your IDE is. Anyways, super fun.
So I think that's it right there. I think we're wrapping it up.
Yeah, that's it, guys. So that's why we use Claude Code. We think you should too. No one's paying us to say that. We just love it. And,
by the way, if you want to pay us to say that, we're on board.
Oh yeah. If you want us to onboard your team to Claude Code, that's something we'll do for you. And if you want to work with us, there's a link in the description. Click through, schedule time with us, and looking forward to hearing from you. Let us know how you guys use Claude Code, what you guys love about it. Teach us some more things.
Yep. Again, hey, this is public. It's on our GitHub page.
Yeah, we'll have a link to it in the description as well. That's it.
All right, bye, guys.